Nicole is suddenly becoming one of the most talked about leaked characters right now. A full suspicious kit leak just dropped, and it includes everything: her elemental skill, elemental burst, signature weapon, constellations, and even some early theory crafting around her team compositions. Naturally, the community is going wild trying to figure out whether she is actually strong or just another overhyped leak. So, in this video, we are going to break down everything that is currently circulating about Nicole: what her abilities supposedly do, how her shield mechanic works, what kind of buffs her burst provides, which teams she might fit into, and why the community is so divided about her design. But before we start, a quick disclaimer. This entire kit comes from an unknown and unconfirmed source. That means it should absolutely be treated as suspicious information. We have seen this happen many times before, where characters receive multiple different kit versions before anything official appears. Some of those versions end up being completely wrong. So while this leak is interesting to discuss, nothing here should be considered final. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the character herself. According to the leak, Nicole is a 5-star Pyro character, and her role appears to be a pure off-field support. She is not designed to be your main damage dealer, and she does not look like a traditional sub-damage dealer either. Instead, her entire kit revolves around strengthening the rest of your team. The idea is that you swap her in, activate her abilities, and then switch back to your main damage dealer, while Nicole continues providing defensive and offensive support in the background. Her kit mainly focuses on two things: building a shield and buffing the team's attack. At first glance, that might sound simple, but the mechanics behind it are actually quite interesting. Nicole's elemental skill reportedly creates a shield, and the strength of that shield scales directly with Nicole's own attack stat. This is already a unique design choice because most shield characters scale from health or defense. In Nicole's case, the more attack you build on her, the stronger her shield becomes. But the really interesting part is how the shield behaves during combat. Instead of being a single shield that breaks and disappears, Nicole's shield can actually stack. Every time Nicole performs a normal attack, the shield gains an additional layer. On top of that, the shield also gains a stack whenever a Pyro-related reaction occurs. It does not matter whether Nicole triggers the reaction herself or if another teammate does it. That means reactions like Vaporize, Melt, and Overload can all contribute to strengthening the shield. In a team that constantly triggers reactions, Nicole's shield would continue stacking throughout the fight, making it stronger the longer combat lasts. For players who dislike shields that disappear instantly after taking a few hits, this mechanic could potentially feel much more reliable. Another important detail is that this shield mechanic does not appear to rely heavily on energy. Many defensive abilities in the game require elemental bursts, which means they depend on energy recharge and proper energy management. Nicole's shield instead comes from her elemental skill and reaction stacking, which means players may be able to maintain strong defense without constantly worrying about energy generation. Because of this, many players immediately reacted positively when this leak appeared, especially those who prefer defensive playstyles. Now let's talk about Nicole's elemental burst, which is where things become more complex. At its core, Nicole's burst provides an attack buff to the entire team. However, the buff does not apply to Nicole herself. Instead, it only strengthens her teammates. This design clearly reinforces the idea that Nicole is meant to be a dedicated support character rather than someone who contributes significant personal damage. But the burst does not stop at just a basic attack increase. During the duration of the burst, every time a Pyro reaction is triggered, additional effects can occur depending on the team composition. If the team includes characters from a specific group known in the leak as the Sabbath characters, sometimes described as part of a witch's Sabbath or Hex Array themed team archetype, the attack buff becomes stronger when those characters participate in the reaction. Additionally, if multiple Sabbath characters are present in the team and their elements are part of the reactions being triggered, the entire team can gain an additional percentage-based damage bonus on top of the attack increase. In simple terms, a normal team will still receive a solid attack buff from Nicole's burst. However, a team specifically built around this Hex Array or Sabbath mechanic could potentially gain much larger benefits. This particular mechanic is the biggest reason the community is currently divided about Nicole's kit. Some players are excited about the possibility of a new team archetype, while others are worried that Nicole might end up being too niche if she only performs at her best inside a very specific composition. Now let's move on to her reported signature weapon. Nicole's signature weapon is said to be a catalyst that provides energy recharge and attack percent as its primary stats. This combination fits her kit extremely well. Energy recharge helps Nicole maintain consistent burst uptime, while additional attack directly increases the strength of her shield. The weapon's passive ability also appears to be designed specifically around Nicole's mechanics. Whenever Nicole creates a shield using her elemental skill, the weapon grants a damage percentage bonus to the entire team. Since Nicole's shield can continue stacking through normal attacks and pyro reactions, the passive effect could potentially trigger frequently during combat. In theory, this would create a very clean synergy between Nicole's abilities and her weapon, constantly strengthening the team while her shield continues building. Another interesting discussion within the community is that Nicole might finally give players a reason to use certain catalyst weapons that have been sitting unused in many inventories. Some players immediately started comparing her potential builds with existing catalyst options, although at this point, those discussions are still purely speculative. Now let's quickly talk about Nicole's early constellations. Her first constellation reportedly provides a critical damage bonus to the entire team. The exact activation condition has not been fully confirmed yet, but team-wide critical damage buffs are always extremely valuable, especially for teams that already maintain high critical rate. Her second constellation appears to further strengthen her support capabilities. It increases Nicole's personal attack stat, which indirectly improves the strength of her shield, and it also increases the effectiveness of the attack buff provided by her elemental burst. In other words, reaching Constellation 2 could make Nicole noticeably stronger both defensively and offensively for the team. That said, even at Constellation 0, she still performs her main role as a shielder and attack buffer. The early constellations simply enhance her strengths rather than unlocking entirely new mechanics. Now let's talk about potential team compositions, because this is where the community discussion has become the most interesting. One of the loudest reactions came from fans of Varka. Even though Varka has not yet been released as a playable character, he already has a large following. As soon as Nicole's kit appeared, many players started imagining a future Varka-centered team built around Nicole's buffs and defensive support. Some players are even theorizing about a potential Varka and Duran hyper-carry setup supported by Nicole. Whether that team will actually become viable is impossible to say right now, but the excitement around the idea has been very noticeable. Another character frequently mentioned alongside Nicole is Arlecchino. Arlecchino is already a powerful pyro damage dealer, and Nicole's attack buff could naturally scale very well with a character that already focuses on high attack values. An off-field shield combined with additional attack buffs could make Nicole a comfortable support option for Arlecchino teams. Melt teams are also being discussed quite heavily. Some players are interested in running melt-focused teams using characters like Ganyu or Mavuka, while Nicole provides both shielding and attack buffs. Since melt reactions would continuously trigger pyro interactions, they could also contribute to stacking Nicole's shield throughout the fight. Overload teams are another possibility. Combinations involving pyro and electro characters, such as Fischl or Duran, could constantly trigger overload reactions. Because Nicole's shield gains stacks whenever pyro reactions occur, those overload triggers could indirectly strengthen the team's defense during combat. At the moment, all of these ideas are purely theoretical. Real performance can only be judged once a character is actually playable and tested inside the game. But even with that uncertainty, Nicole's leaked kit has already sparked a lot of discussion. If this version of the kit turns out to be accurate, Nicole would essentially be a pyro support who provides a stacking shield, a powerful team-wide attack buff, additional reaction-based bonuses in specific team compositions, and strong synergy with her signature weapon. Some players are extremely excited about her potential. Others are concerned that the Hex Array or Sabbath mechanic might limit her flexibility. For now, we simply have to wait and see whether this suspicious kit leak turns out to be close to the final design or if it changes completely before release. But I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Nicole's kit actually looks strong, or does it seem too niche to be worth pulling? And if you were to use her, which team would you build around her? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more updates on future leaks, character kits, and upcoming content, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next video.